gonna create dragon eyes. All right, so you need a piece of paper that you're gonna hold horizontally for this project. I'm going to attach some dragon features. You can choose some of these to create your dragon, but you're gonna need a pencil at first to draw in your dragon shapes. So with the dragon eye, I'm going to start off by creating my dragon eye. Now with this, you wanna make sure that you're drawing your eye nice and big, because if you draw it super, super, super small, you're gonna have a lot of space in that background. So I drew the basic shape of my eye. I like to start with a rainbow line and then connect it with a smile line. I'm gonna draw my iris, which is the colored part of my eye. And then I'm gonna decide what kind of pupil I'm going to do. So this seems like a popular pupil design, so I'm gonna start off with a line like that. I'm gonna bump out, bump out, bump out, and go down. Then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So I'm gonna show you this one only because it seems like all my students are choosing this design for their middle of their eye. Okay, I'll erase that middle line. So again, you can choose some of these features. This feature is just to help you. You can make up your own as well. You don't have to go off of this. This is just to help you. Okay, then I'm going to go and draw the design around my eye. So I'm gonna start off like this. And again, you can make up your own. You can look at reptiles in nature and take some of their features. That's really, really fun to do. Okay, there is the basic around the eye and my eye. Now you can be super fancy and add some like spikes if you want to add some spikes. Do you have to do this? No, but you can do it if you'd like to. So I added a few little spikes around my eye. And then I'm going to do my scales. Okay, so when I do my scales, I like, because I was looking at nature and I was looking at some reptiles in nature, and I really like that around the eye, they're small scales. So I drew this really, really light line here because I'm gonna erase that. But I'm gonna draw some smaller type of scales around the eye. And as you go away from the eye, the scales get larger. Okay, now once I have my small scales, I can do my larger size scales. Now I have a bunch of different choices that you can choose here. Again, you can choose your own type of scale as well. You don't have to pick any of those. I'm gonna pick one just for this video. So I'm going to do a scale that's kind of almost like a fish type of scale. And I'm gonna fill up my entire paper with these scales. Okay, now that I have all my scales drawn on my paper, I can start to add some color to this. Now I want to start in the middle and I'm going to work my way out. However, I'm not going to start with the black because the black is a very strong color, so I'm going to wait to do that last. But I'm going to start with my eye. Now when we do our eye, we want it to start like dark, or you can start light and work your way out. Now this one is all blue. I kind of was going for an ice dragon look. This one I'm gonna do a little differently. I'm going to do, I think, an orange eye, and then I'm gonna do green scales. just because I think that might look cool. So for an orange eye, I'm gonna use a light orange, a darker orange. I'm gonna probably use a yellow. I'm gonna maybe use all these. That's a lot, but I think it'll look really cool. So with your eye, you're going to want to, we're gonna be doing some shading. Now I'm using oil pastels. You can use whatever you have at home. If you have crayons or color pencils, you can use that. They're just not gonna blend like the oil pastels will. So I'm actually gonna start, I think, light, and I'm gonna work my way dark. So with that, I'm gonna kind of make a like a jagged line. See how it's like a little jagged? I'm gonna do that right near the pupil. And you want it to be kind of jagged, because when you look inside of an eye, you see that it's very, it's almost like a star, like I like to call it like a starburst kind of thing. Then I'm gonna take my next one. And again, I am going to be doing like this little zigzag, and I'm gonna overlap those colors. I'm going to take my darker orange, and then I'm going to go for my red. Now, this isn't blended yet. It looks pretty cool so far, but it's not blended yet. So now we're gonna wanna blend. We could either use our finger, we can use a blending stump, you can use a paper towel to do that if you're using oil pastels. I'm gonna use my finger because I like to get myself a little dirty when I'm doing oil pastels. It's kind of the fun of it. But I'm gonna use my finger to blend those colors together. And it will end up looking really cool. Now, if you really want to add a little bit more yellow, you can go back in. You can add a little bit more on top. You can add a little bit more of this lighter orange, or whatever color you're using. It's the best about oil pastels. You can keep going back and forth. And I think that looks pretty cool. So I'm gonna take those extra little crumbs that you have, I'm gonna dump them over to the side. You can like loosen up those crumbs and you can dump them over. Okay. All right, so I did my eye. Now with this part, usually in a regular human's eye, that's white. You can decide if you wanted to make that the same color as your scales. You can make it black. I think I'm gonna color it black because I'm gonna color this part black, I'm gonna color that part black. But again, I'm gonna wait to do that until a little later because I don't want it to smear anywhere. I want that to be like the last detail. So now I'm gonna start my scales. Now before I start my scales, I'm going to wash my hands. All right, so I got most of the orange off. I still have a little bit of orange. I'm gonna put my orange back. And I'm going to now be doing some of my scales. Now I think I'm gonna do my scales green. I think a green dragon would be really kind of cool. For that, you're gonna need a dark version and a light version, okay? That's what you really need. You can use a darker version too. I have that too. So to do this, I'm gonna start over here and I'm gonna work my way, or you could start in the middle and work your way out. Working your way out might be easier because then you're going to, then you could turn your paper. So that might work. So we'll do that maybe. All right, so I'm gonna start with my darkest value of the color that I chose, and I'm gonna outline my scales. You can do this one scale at a time, you could do this one section at a time, but I'm gonna start with my dark scales. I'm gonna go in between all of the little scales. Then you're gonna take your medium value of the color that you chose and you're gonna outline, you're gonna go inside of that, okay? Then I'm gonna do my light value and I'm gonna go into the middle of that with my light value. I'm still gonna leave a little bit of white. Okay, and I'm gonna do this in all my scales. Then I'm gonna take my finger and I'm just gonna lightly blend it to fill up those little white spots and kind of just get that little bit of blended. If you have a little bit of white there, that's fine because that's a little shine on your scale. So I'm gonna do that to all of my scales and I'll do that in fast forward for you so you can watch. So again, real quick, before I do it fast forward, we'll do some scales. You're gonna outline the scale with the dark. Take your medium value, outline that as well. Now, if you're just gonna use a medium instead of the dark, you can totally do that. You're just gonna outline and then you're gonna have your lighter value. So you might need only 2. Then you're gonna take that and you're gonna blend and color the rest in with your finger, okay? Now you might have noticed that I used this lighter color to help me blend as well. You can do that as well, especially for the smaller scales. The smaller scales are hard to use your finger, so you can totally use the lighter of the shades to make your color blend. So now I'm gonna do my larger scales. Now that I've finished my scales, I can go in with the black and I could add the black to the pupil and the black to the edges of the eye to bring out that eye. I hope you enjoyed creating your dragon eye. I cannot wait to see it. Please make sure that you're posting it on Artsonia. Have a wonderful day and keep creating. Bye, friends.